everyone. Welcome to SoDA Series Live. We're at South by Southwest right now. Last year, we talked a lot and speculated a lot on Gen AI and how it was going to impact the creative industry. And this year, we're bringing it home with some practical insight into how our panelists this year are actually using it. I'm Brooke Hopper. I'm your moderator for this panel, and I'm going to kick it off with some introductions.
Hi everyone, Eric Shamlin, Executive Vice President at Media.Monks. We're a large digital agency, global. I head up their sort of emerging media team, working with all the acronyms, AR, VR, AI, and so it's been fun. It's been a great year, like playing with these technologies, so happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course.
I'm happy to be here as well. My name is Sara De La Haya. I lead accounts at Squint Opera, which is a journey studio. Our team is specifically focused on emerging tech, so conversational AI, generative AI, and we've had a really exciting 12 months where we've gone out of the proof of concept stage into the actual product phase. So really excited to get to chat about what that's looked like.
Amazing.
Adam Baskin, Managing Director of Tool. We're a commercial production company that's been around for 25 years. About 15 years ago, we founded our Experience and Creative Technology division. We started dabbling with AI in 2016, 2017, well before this crazy hype cycle where the technologies are actually powerful and we can do really cool things. So it's been a fun 24 months since this stuff has really kicked off. And yeah, really excited to talk about how we're using it with brands.
That's awesome. Adam, since you mentioned that you've kind of been playing around since 2016, 2017, I'm kind of curious, how has your team been exploring it in different ways most recently in the last 24 months?
Yeah, it's not even really comparable from then to now. I'd say there's a lot of different ways it's found a place in what we do. One bucket would be the just sort of natural process, the organic process of creating, putting ideas out into the world, storytelling, coming to a place of creative alignment, and using the tools to get to that place faster, prototype ideas, test ideas, and get a deeper sense of creative alignment with stakeholders than it would traditionally take us. And then there's the whole other bucket of real application in projects, specific projects across content and experiences, which I'm sure we'll get into as we dive in.
Of course. Sara, Eric?
Sure, yeah, I mean, in the same way, I can remember, even 12 months ago, we have a Thursday morning call that's just for our team to talk about what tools are exciting to us, and we would share just what we were working on in mid-journey, for example, and now we don't even have time to have that call anymore because we're busy and we're making things, which is a cool way that, just in the last year, we've been able to go from just experimenting to actually practicing what we've been working on. But yeah, I think with our team, it's a process. We have this cool visual that started as just an internal way to see what tools we've been vetting and what ways we've been experimenting, what we've liked, what we haven't liked. And it's this huge pie chart that has every logo of every tool that we've used. And now we use that in our discovery process with different clients to show just how much there is out there. And it's been really, really, really exciting to see the transformation of the output.
That's very cool. Is the pie chart as large as a room?
It continues to grow. We had to make the circle a little bit bigger because we ran out of room for logos. But it started out as a kind of a joke, but right. Now we use it because there is simply so much out there.
Yeah. Eric, Media.Monks obviously has been using it quite a bit as well.
Yeah, and I think we were very quick to adopt it kind of internally at first. It's just kind of a culture of innovation and just picking up fun new tools and technologies. And so I think our creatives and technologists and developers picked it up. There's not a pitch now, I think, that goes out without an AI pass. And they've really adopted the tools. And so internally, it just became part of the culture. And then, clients, obviously, they're hearing all the hype and like, how do we use this? How does it help us? And so we were very quick last summer to figure out sort of how to sort of productize it. And so we've launched an AI managed service back at CES this year, and we're onboarding our first batch of clients right now. And it's a whole education there because there's a lot of sort of myths or misunderstandings around what the AI tools can do now.
Yeah.
So that's been great.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because I know I'm at Adobe and we hear this a lot from our customers. They really want to use AI and there's a lot of misconceptions. Curious, how do you talk about Gen AI with customers? Do they come to you asking for it? Do you say, hey, this might be a good opportunity? What are those interactions?
Sure. Well, I can speak to the tone of conversation that we're having now is so much more, it's different than it was a year ago, right? We had people coming to us in a panic, being like, we have to put something out, like we're going to miss the hype train, like what do? We should just do this thing that didn't speak to the brand, didn't speak to the ethos, and now we're getting to be like, okay, yes, it is overwhelming, you're so right, but let's really take a step back, let's take our time, let's really look at what generative AI is, what it can do, and what it can't do, because I do think that there is this world where AI is not new, but because of the hype, I do think that there has been this conversation around it being something that's never been seen before, but that's simply not the case. And so I think now that the hype has not died down, but we've gotten to have a little bit of time to actually sit back and explore. The tone is a little more positive and exploratory.
Yeah.
I'd say similar. I mean, with any emerging tech, there's definitely an educational component and a much more consultative approach than with traditional ways of creating and marketing. So I think our focus is really around identifying small use cases, diving in, and finding ways to prototype those and have small wins to start as a sort of entry point for how we're working with brands and what we're building out for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to sort of go to the conversation, where does the conversation come from? For us, I think it's kind of bidirectional. We're definitely not shy. We're out.
Right.
Our founder, Wes, is on a roadshow every day, talking to brands and just advocating for this in the space, because we do believe it's like a sea change. Yeah. It's coming, and we as the agency need to be able to use it and recommend it and consult about it, but brands also need to figure out how it's going to work within their processes, right? So we're very proactive in that sense, but then we also get a lot of brands, and it's really fun. They come in and you get a chance to sort of dispel the myths and educate them, and like, all right, this is what the reality is and how you use it in production and where it's best used, and where can you save money inevitably, but it's been great because the conversations are they're very healthy in both directions right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you're finding that customers and clients are coming in maybe more educated at this point.
Yes.
On what, because Sara, to your point, like my favorite example is that spell check uses AI. Like it's literally been around for decades, and so it matters what kind of AI you want to use at this point. Let's talk about some of the hurdles in implementation that Gen AI has. I think one of the most obvious things right now to me is that the immediate outputs of Gen AI are not high res, right? Clearly, there's a lot more hurdles that go into once you actually want to use something in production. I guess there's 2 questions here. Are you using it in production? And if so, what do you have to go through to get something that can be a final asset that goes out to the world?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a combination of approaches. There's the ones that are truly fully automated, and then there's this whole other much larger bucket where it's a combination of automated AI tools and a really important or multiple important layers of human approaches with some traditional tech, some new approaches. But that practitioner, that person who's actually using the technology, who knows how to take it that final step, who knows how to iterate, is still the big value in this chain.
Yeah, I would say that with a smaller activation or a smaller use case, the obstacles are a little more limited. You can kind of get things greenlit and things live. But I would say a lot of our clients that we're working with are large enterprises. And so in order to get anything, and any type of change, right, is going to be scary. But for these very, very large enterprise organizations, even the 2 letters AI is terrifying. And so it kind of goes back to that education piece where we're spending a lot of time really educating an AI task force, for example. Like they get together, they're all talking about AI, but in practice, what does that mean? And so I think that one of the obstacles is just getting around sitting in the room and talking about the thing and actually getting out and doing the thing. So, we're still navigating that, and I think we will continue, but definitely the tides have turned a little bit.
I think there's this perception, and it's kind of everybody, that you push a button and it just comes out the other end, right? And it's instantly going to be 75% cheaper, right? And it's yes, it can save costs, it can, but like any technology, it can also explode costs if you don't use it well or know how to manage it. What it's done is sort of get rid of creator's block or writer's block, because there's no reason to sit there and stare at a blank page anymore. Hey GPT, give me a first draft, right? And so it can give you kind of a shitty first draft of kind of anything, and then you as a creative go in and then curate it, edit it, tweak it. And I think even in the visual stuff, the images, it gives you great source material, but at the end of the day, a designer's got to go into Photoshop and kind of hack it together, right?
Yeah.
So there's still a very manual pass at the end for a lot of the projects. Some of them are more automated than others, but it hasn't replaced the designer's touch yet.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing. You generate. We're just keeping it to 2D images right now, and I think I would say 99% of the time, if not 100%, a designer is going to go in and make some tweaks and edits.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of building on top of that, have you put Gen AI assets into production out in the world? They're out there living?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they go through a bit of a manual pass, or at least a QA pass, manual QA pass, just to make sure, there's not 6 fingers on the hand and little things, right? But yes, we've got several clients are using it in production now.
Yeah. I want to keep this on a very practical level, but speculating. I know, Adam, you also mentioned automation. How far away do you think we are from being able to get assets without a human touch out there? Do we see that on the near horizon, or is that that's probably a ways away?
Yeah, I think the most valuable use cases are not that straightforward.
Yeah.
They're layering in a number of different technologies, a number of different steps. And even if the process is mostly automated, you decrease a lot of value when you fully automate it. So we have done fully automated stuff for activations and for user experiences, both in-person activations as well as online consumer experiences for deepfake pipelines, for generating music and experiences. And those are fully automated. There's no one involved in that. But I think the sort of threshold for success is a little bit different than we're working on something like a campaign with a hero spot.
Right.
Or when we're working on some lower funnel marketing content that's going out on social.
Yep.
And so those are certainly more custom pipelines and processes where you're trying to offload as many of the tedious tasks to AI, gain as much value from that, from having modularity and scalability, but then find the places where small amounts of a practitioner can come in and really add value to it.
Right. Great. So, and this is for Eric and also Adam. I know both of your agencies recently put out, you have Toolkit and then there's Flow. I'd like to talk a little bit about that and what is it that you have created, and what is it for, and how are customers using it?
Sure. We built Toolkit out initially for activations. And it's stringing together a number of APIs, a number of libraries, and some other custom tech that we've layered in to allow us to work faster and to allow us to address specific use cases. The landscape is shifting so fast. As you were saying, it's like new tech every day, every week that we're trying to see what are the most useful tools out there, new approaches. So, that is inherent in how we're approaching it, that what we have now will be different in 3 months and 6 months and 12 months. And it's not for everything. Some things require one siloed tool, some things require our toolkit, and we're building on it as we have very specific ambitions strategically, and as we have very specific asks, we're catering it and creating bespoke instances for clients.
So Monks Flow is it's an AI managed service. So it's an enterprise level workflow optimization service that connects to the various AIs or manages them for you, and then builds workflows or handoffs between them. And there's a whole approval and QA pass that goes through that. Because the simple thing is a lot of the AI just out of the box are kind of bad UXs. Discord is not a great UX, by the way, for a lot of users. So being able to do API calls and pull that in to a nice dashboard that's client friendly, secure, and then we constantly maintain it. The APIs are getting updated. The workflows are getting more and more specialized depending on the client. But it's a white glove service. So
Right.
we have to work with the client, figure out what their systems are, and then how do we sort of build towards that.
Yeah, yeah. And Sarah, I know your agency actually had something here at South by. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it was over the weekend, so unfortunately won't be able to test it out at South by, but we hope that it will be elsewhere. But so in collaboration with KPMG, we created an AI podcast host, which you were able to step into the booth and, as the guest, be the star of the show and speak to your experience. So it was in collaboration with KPMG's pitch competition. And so we wanted to give the people who were participating in the pitches, but also passerbys, the opportunity to see generative AI in practice, in the wild. It was a really, I was so thrilled to get to be here, to get and stand and watch everybody come out of the booth with like a thumbs up and a smile, because I think that, we've all interacted with like a ChatGPT or like a Perplexity or a Midjourney, but to see it in practice in a way that felt conversational, in a way that felt comfortable, it was really kind of amazing to witness. And so the user experience was, you scan a QR code, you fill in some information to give Skylar, which was the name of the podcast host, a little bit of context on who you were, and you could choose from 3 different themes and then have a 5-minute conversation with Skylar. And it was so interesting because, we could watch the guests be in the booth, and as people would go through the conversation, their body language would change in a way that they were leaning towards Skylar, this orb dream-like animation that we came up with, and would use the hand gestures that you would in a normal conversation. And that is just a testament to the talent of our development team, because they really worked so hard on making sure that the tone of conversation felt natural. And so it was awesome. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, that brings 2 questions to mind. The first one is obviously like activation. Adam, you also talked about activation. Eric, flow is specifically for some of those enterprise day-to-day tedious activities. What have you found Gen AI to be the most useful for across the entire creative flow? Now, I'm sure there's we can say, well, all of it. But specifically, where do you find your agency or your designers using it the most?
I think it's pre-production right now still, because it eliminates writer's block or creative block. And so designers can sit there for half an hour and just come up with like a whole list of concepts, using these AI tools. So I think in that ideation, conceptualization, pre-development phase, it's just magic right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that in terms of specific use cases that are outside of the early ideation phase, and for clients, modular content is a big area. We've had all these briefs over the years where the creative was incredible, but the tech just wasn't quite there to enable something. And so there's a lot of promise in sort of resurrecting those ideas that had a lot of value in them but weren't possible, but now are. So we're having a lot of conversations, working on a couple projects that are in the modular content space. And being able to just do things at scale at a lower cost, and do them in sometimes, ideally in ways where the AI is being used intentionally and not just as a tool.
Yeah, and it's sort of connecting to something you said earlier. I don't think you're going to use it for a hero TV spot kind of anytime soon. Maybe select creative, but it's also very good at like assets at scale. I need this one thing to be in 30 languages and 15 sizes with 30 different images. It's really good at that. The versioning and the quality is very good.
Yep.
So that kind of thing, some modular content in a sense.
Yeah.
It's very, very good at that.
Yeah, I agree. Like asset automation feels like it's like
Localized, created, translated.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And so then my second question was, do you find yourselves working differently with your clients because of Gen AI? Like, is there are there different ways that you're sort of like collaborating with them or communicating with them or like, building a project together?
Yeah.
Are there things that this has enabled that you maybe didn't do before?
I mean, I would go back to the sort of creative alignment. A lot of times there's the easy, safe idea, and everyone on the team can get their mind around that. And then there's the ambitious idea that the creatives want to do, and not all the stakeholders involved can fully wrap their minds around that unless they see something that is a little further along than just an idea on a page or a couple comps. And so we found in recent projects that when we want to really push through those ambitious ideas, that being able to use different forms of Gen AI and being able to prototype things in a day or 2 days rather than 5 days of heads down work on an idea that might not make it has allowed us to put those ideas in front of clients in a way that they see it and they go, oh, this is what you were talking about. This sounds incredible. Let's do that. So certainly that's been a win.
Yeah. Well, and I think to piggyback off of that, we have been working with some of our clients for years on building conversational AI ecosystems. And so now with the emergence of all of these new tools, it feels like a natural progression to start to explore what we can do with generative AI. And so it's been exciting to be able to put ideas in front of clients faster at a higher level of quality.
Yeah.
I'm sure that your teams are quite busy, and so whenever you're in a pitch process with multiple different clients, it is kind of nice to get to have that automated element where the output is quite good.
Yeah.
You can rapid prototype very quickly with some of these tools. So we did a deep fake sort of project with The Weeknd, the music artist. And so in just using photos, we completely recreated him, avatar, and then we did a whole voice font, recreated his voice. The full project to get it pixel perfect and public ready took a few months.
Yeah.
But we had a prototype up in like 2 days.
That's so cool.
So you had a kind of a thing the client could respond to, and okay, that's how it's going to work. Oh, great. And then then you get into the pixels for weeks and weeks and weeks. But the basic idea is very easy, and you got it up on its legs very quickly.
That's very cool. One of my favorite things to talk about are design trends. So I'm curious to hear, and maybe feel free to speculate too. Like, where do we think? How do we see Gen AI affecting design trends and visuals?
I think it's going to become very trendy to have 6 fingers.
Walk through walls.
It'll be a short, it'll get better and we'll stop. For a very short period of time, you're going to have a lot of that.
I think it's doing kind of to visuals what music's been doing for a long time. It's sort of mashup culture, and so you're going to just start seeing that because you can do kind of anything.
Yeah.
Cats on Mars, let's do it, right? And
Yeah.
so you can kind of your wildest, and you don't have to go shoot. You don't have to set up. You just do that at your desk, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be this profusion of creativity and kind of wild, but it's also this word mashup, kind of like culture, creative culture.
Yeah.
I love that. I was chatting with a couple of people before we started about the idea of a creative technologist is not new, right? That's a term and a title that's been around for forever, but and this is a little more speculatory, but I love the idea of the rise of the artist, the animator, the filmmaker as a creative technologist, and kind of that pivot into taking what is already a remarkable talent and really kind of supercharging what the creative output is and what this kind of renaissance of creativity. I think it's going to be really exciting over tomorrow, 6 months from now, a year from now.
Yeah, just last week, a friend of mine released a feature film done entirely with Gen AI. It was crowdsourced, again through Discord. He got a bunch of AI artists, and they did a parody remake of Terminator 2, entirely Gen AI, created. And they gave each of the creators, they chopped it by scenes and assigned it to various artists, and each artist just got to do whatever they wanted aesthetically. And it's got like anime at one point, and it's got like teddy bears talking at one point. It's just like, it just like unleashed this kind of crazy acid trip of creativity. But it was also magical because you couldn't have done that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Without millions of dollars. You know,
Yeah.
This was all free. It was like effectively free.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. There's kind of I hear like kind of two schools of arguments. One, we hear a lot is, Gen AI is going to take away creativity. Things are going to become, more homogenized. And then on the other hand, I hear, no, it actually like inspires like the crazy acid trip, teddy bears talking to each other. How have you seen, what has been your experience using this, in practice?
I think both of those things you said are true, right? There are use cases where it's an averaging. There are also these amazing cases where it serves as inspiration that a creative person never would have had. And I think that's the foil, is that as things start to be homogenous because of the averaging behind it, it's going to drive people to be more creative and do more unique things, and it'll balance it out.
Yeah, I think both happens. I sort of liken it to sort of YouTube early days, like the democratization of video. Like we suddenly all have iPhones, and you can go out and shoot whatever you want. And so there's just like this explosion of content, and it's rolled into TikTok and all social media. Everybody's a creator now, right? There's a lot of bad stuff on TikTok, right? There's a lot in YouTube, right? But there's exceptional stuff.
Yeah.
And so just more people get to play, right? But still, the cream rises. I mean, talent. People are attracted to talent and great stories.
Yeah. Have you seen? We talked about Gen AI allowing you to do things that maybe would have been really difficult to achieve previously. Are you seeing people being able to work across more mediums because of this, or because, Adam, we were just talking about this beforehand, right now it's sort of like image, some video is coming. We're not really seeing a ton of 3D stuff. I think, candidly, Adobe is the only vector model that I'm aware of. Like, are we already working in more mediums because of this, I guess would be the question. And do you see this continuing?
Yes, I think so. And I think sort of the knock-on effect of that is more people can create. I have a good friend, he's not a creative, or he's not classically a creative, he's like an accountant. But he just became an enthusiast and started playing with the tools, and now he's a creator. Now he's a creative, right? Yeah. Because he can't do Photoshop, he can't hold a camera to save his life. But he can load up an AI and just like let his dreams run wild, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's bringing more people into the creative camp in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, and AI is inherently creative, right? And so just by having these tools available, like you said, everybody can now be a creator, and the talent and the prompting, of course, is within the person. But I do find that we're meeting with and talking with incredible artists who are able, to your point, work across mediums because they are feeling more creative, because there is a part of their process that has been either automated or made easier, and they're able to come up with incredible, gorgeous things that I would put on my Instagram at any point,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, I might have a beautiful vision for something, but I'm not a Photoshop master, so I was never able to be an incredible designer. If I have a beautiful vision, but I have a way with words, and I'm able to use prompt-based tools, now all of a sudden I'm able to unleash my creativity because of these tools have been democratized.
Yeah.
So I think it's certainly, and I've been shocked by the number of people in my life, nurses, restaurant owners, people of all stripes who never did creative things, who never created media, and are sending me
They
things.
had that one idea, and they've just
Exactly, and
how
it
do
sat
we do
around,
that?
and they're on these tools, and you're sort of shocked. You're like, this has nothing to do with, in our line of work, everyone is a creative to some extent. Everyone's touching on it, but it's always fun to see how many people are actually playing with these things.
Yeah. I would love to hear from each of you. I'm sure there are agencies out here, people in the audience listening, curious about, maybe they're curious about, should we incorporate Gen AI into any workflows? How do we do it? How do we start? What kind of an impact is that going to have? Are customers going to be, scared or mad or upset? Like, what would your advice be, or what would your suggestions be to agencies who are maybe looking to start down this path?
I mean, what we tell our clients and the companies that we're working with is, be ambitious about where these tools are going in the future, but let's align on something that is sort of the low-hanging fruit and the easy win, and a use case that is representative of where you can actually derive value from the tools right now, and build towards that, and then see where the successes lie, see where the buy-in is from other departments, from other people within the organization, and continue building off that win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, back to my point about the pie chart that we have, I mean, you have to, at some point, play around with the tools. That's where we're headed anyways. And so you might as well get in there and try it out and see what you can come up with. And I think, internally, every organization has to come to their own decision and determination on whether or not it feels right and aligned to use any type of automation tool. But we're just headed that way anyways. So to steal what you said, the advice will always be to be bold and to move forward. And if clients are looking for it, you should become an expert in it.
I just don't think you can have your head in the sand. Like these tools are here, and they're rapidly advancing, right? Even from last November, it's just like a whole nother landscape, right? So you have to, as an agency or creative or even a client, you have to be dabbling with these tools, whether you use them in full production, maybe not, but you need to be knowing what these tools are at least promising or going to be doing. And then, just like, for the creators, it's like superpowers. Like it's just like suddenly you can do generative audio and text and images and voice, but then it's also at the enterprise level. Like when you can deploy these at scale and integrated across your organization, like it's going to multiply the organization, right? At a crazy scale. And so, can you do that today? Aspects of it for sure, but it's absolutely coming. Like 18 months, 24 months, it's absolutely coming.
Yeah, I want to touch on the speed part of this. How do you keep up with, Sara, I mentioned, you said you have a pie chart, but like, how do you keep up with all of this? I feel, I literally used to have a website booked called There's an AI for that. And like, it had like everything listed, but like at some point, do you have suggestions of how to stay up with everything that's being launched or being,
I don't know that that's possible. I think we have a whole team dedicated to this, and we actually, there is an Excel sheet that's just a long list, and 8 months ago it was like 10 links, and now it's 800 or something. It's like some insane number of tools out there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't even, to that point, I don't know that there really is a way to be able to 100% keep up with everything. So if you've got the teams and the resources to be able to be dedicated to just solely experimenting and solely discussing and looking at the output, I think that that's a great way to go. But I know that can be a challenge.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's possible to keep up with everything because it's just evolving so quickly.
Yeah, we're big enough that we have a team sort of dedicated to it.
Right.
But within that team, there's kind of enthusiasts that are like the audio guy or the image guy or whatever. So we're able to like sort of pool the knowledge. Oh, what did you hear about last week? And then they're all on Reddit and reading through the forums, like what's the cool tool. So you try and stay up, but it's treading water. It's like it's really hard.
We've always been an innovation-led studio, so the need to constantly communicate what's new, what's possible, what are these things that are emerging has always been a reality for us. We actually dedicate an hour each week where we've been sharing things all week long and then talk through them. And then the second step out of that is, okay, well, once we've identified things that are new and interesting and have value and are better than what we've been using before, putting the biggest brains to them. So it's definitely, there's a lot of time investment in staying up to speed and not just knowing what's out there, but having had hands-on practice with it and knowing what can be done and what those tools are. So it's a lot of time.
Yeah. So I want to follow that up with, what are some of the top tools that you're using? And I mean, obviously I work at Adobe, so I want to hear Firefly, but I recognize that
All day long.
only Firefly. But no, like seriously, what are some of the top tools that you find consistently you're going to, and they've become a part of the flow?
As much as there's the proliferation, I think it's still the same basic tools people, because they're more mature. Like everything's advancing, so it's Mid-Journey, DALL-E, ChatGPT. Those are still the go-to. Runway, more and more. I think those are still really the kind of go-tos, but there's the rest of that long list of tools are very niche things, right? And so, I need that kind of image or whatever, so you'll go pick that out. But for us, I think it's still the sort of the hero AIs that we're all aware of.
Yeah, still for us as well. I have a personal love of Perplexity AI, just because I'm a naturally inquisitive person and I love to be able to ask the follow-up questions to Perplexity. But I think, so I'm a personal Stable Diffusion girl, but, and I do love Firefly, I will say. I use it all the time. But the tools that are my top uses are just further along and more mature.
Right.
For like a product that maybe we're implementing, I have really loved the maturity of 11 Labs as an audio synthetic voice output. But otherwise, still a ChatGPT, still a Mid-Journey.
Yep.
I mean, there's a ton. We sort of put them in two camps. One are the ones that are API based and allow you to daisy chain those together in a pipeline and have something that's fully automated and programmatic. And then the other are these tools that are just so powerful in the specific niche that they fill. Something like a Wonder Dynamics, which allows you to pull animation, character animation out of a normal video that you shot with your iPhone or that you pulled off the web and apply that to 3D models. 11 Labs for voice fonts, Magnifique and Topaz for up-resing things and sort of taking it the final mile. But there's so many. Runway obviously for motion, but there's so many, and there's new ones every day and new ones for specific use cases. So it's really crazy.
Yeah, that's a great list. So I want to hear from each of you, what has been your favorite project that either you worked on or your agency worked on that had a lot of Gen AI in it? Tell us about it.
Sure. So just because, for a lot of reasons, but the most recent activation that we had here was one of the first times that I think our team got to really see the way that our studio was able to put together all of the talents within the Squint Opera ecosystem, but also the Journey ecosystem. We're able to do a physical generative AI powered activation where we were able to pull in some of our favorite animators, some of our favorite designers, some of our favorite conversation designers. And so it was really exciting for us to get to see something that worked, that had a wonderful, beautiful output, but also was able to pull from the best of the best that we love to work with. So it felt kind of like a family success. So that was really exciting for us.
I think a lot of these things we tend to do and we kind of share with each other as like early adopters and enthusiasts. So I tend to like the ones that are kind of go out and get mainstream, like awareness. And so the project I got involved with last fall was Time Magazine reached out and they wanted to recreate 5 of their iconic covers using all Gen AI. And so we spun up a team and used all the tools, learned a lot through that process, and then it went out and had a life. It just went out on these magazine covers, which was really, really fun for the team and just to see it go out there.
Yeah.
But it was 75% AI and then 25% manual. It was like, there's designer last touch, right?
Yeah.
So.
We recently released a spot with Under Armour. We had done an experimental piece of content with them with one of their hero-sponsored athletes, and there was a lot of interest and excitement coming out of that. And so we were tasked with the challenge that Anthony Joshua, heavyweight champion, they wanted to shoot a spot with him, and he wasn't available because he was in training camp. And so how do we come up with a creative that leverages Gen AI, but also a lot of traditional tools so that the final output is of an elevated level? And we, in 3 weeks, created a spot with him that was a combination of using Gen AI for a voice font, so he narrated the whole thing, creating scenes and environments with Gen AI, as well as some motion graphics transitions, and then using CG traditional approaches to really elevate the luster of it, along with some existing content. And it came out incredible, and was one of those instances where the AI was used not just on the technical level, but to circumvent this really challenging production thing, which is he wasn't available for the shoot.
Yeah.
There's one that we launched at CES, and it was just kind of this little bit of whimsy. It was a little animatronic little alien that was fully powered by Gen AI and voice, and so you could sit there and have a conversation with it in the suite, and it's magic. It's just magic.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it brings out the kid in you. Yeah.
That's awesome. So we're going to do a couple speed round questions. So I actually only have 2 of them. The first one it's going to be an easy one. So the first one is, what is your favorite like weird output that you've gotten?
I'll go. So I'll answer it slightly differently. We have a creative technology studio in Belgium, and our tech director out there is famous for sending videos that are explainer videos of the tech. And one of our creative directors was trying to convey an idea for a new pipeline, put together an animatic, and then decided to narrate it with our technical director's voice by creating a voice font of him from previous recordings. So that was great, because we were all loving hearing our fake tech director.
That's awesome.
I love that. One of my very close friends, who's a very talented just videographer, cinematographer, and now creative technologist, and I kind of challenged ourselves, like, let's make a short film, and over the weekend, all AI generated, and this was, a while ago, and it's a ChatGPT script, and it's an animated film, and it is not good. It's quite silly. It went off the rails just a little bit because we were trying to mess around with it, but it's just 2 faces speaking the entire time, and it's the story of a breakup. And so the faces trying to emulate emotions were quite interesting, and it's just kind of a running joke between the 2 of us. But it was silly, and it was really kind of whimsical and magical as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think the thing that comes to mind was just early days trying to use it for concept art, and we just couldn't get out of the nightmare fuel on a couple pitches. Like, his early days, like, oh my God, like it's really scary stuff that would come out, and so you would just have to sit there and kind of work with it. And so, that was definitely a phase early on where it was definitely not more efficient. I guess, just to get it to not be screaming nightmares.
Yeah. My favorite prompt that I always test is acrobats doing tricks on bikes, and to this day, it's still it will still just ugh. It just doesn't know what to.
Everywhere.
Too many legs, too many wheels, crazy bikes. Awesome, that was great. Last one is, what is one of the, and it doesn't have to be Gen AI, but bonus points if it is, what is one of your latest either apps or features that you've played with that you really enjoy? That's Gen AI focused.
Oh. Well, there's one that I've been playing with. I don't know the name right off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you're on TikTok, you'll get advertised for it. But it's a fun one. It is a voice font. You speak into it, and then it recreates kind of any song, any genre, with you as the singer.
That's amazing.
So Taylor Swift, suddenly you can do it all in her.
I was
voice.
actually going to say the same thing. Yeah. It's incredible how far that tech is.
It's wild, and it's just a very simple app, and you just sit there for a couple minutes where it samples your voice, and then you pick a popular song.
It's amazing. I think we're going to break the app afterwards. Everyone here is going to go try it.
I haven't played with that, so you'll have to share that with me. We have been playing with Comfy UI for
Good
video,
one.
and hasn't been as whimsical or magical, but the output's been quite good. So I'm excited to kind of see where that one goes as we explore a little bit more.
Very cool.
Well, I already doubled up on Suno, so instead of talking about another app, I'll just say one of my favorite things. One of the most interesting things is not how far the tools are coming or what are the new tools. It's when we use them in simple ways. They remind you of how powerful it is. And so, I'll read stories to my daughters. I'll ask them for a few inputs. Who's a character? What's the setting? What's their superpower? Pump it into ChatGPT and it gives you a bedtime story, which is like the most awesome thing ever because you're like a magician to your kid.
Yeah.
And that's been possible now, 6 months ago, 12 months ago. And it just reminds you that so many times the most powerful things that come out of these tools, it's not because the tools have come so far, it's because you're using it in a way that makes sense for the tool.
Yeah,
I
and
love that.
To add to that is the thing I was mentioning before we got on earlier. If you can go 5th floor of the Fairmont, there's this really cool pop-up art piece called the Golden Key, and it's a giant triptych, three-wall projection, entirely generated AI, but it has the iPad interface in front of it. And you can kind of add, tell it the story you want to hear, and you can be as far-fetched and as weird as you want, and it just renders it, and then it does a automated, like a Gen AI voice narration, and it sounds like David Attenborough or something, telling you this crazy, beautiful folklore story. It's not, I know the tech, it's actually not that complicated, but it's just simple and well done.
That's
It's just really
amazing.
well done.
Is there anything else that you want to share or say that we haven't covered today?
Use the tools. It is a sea change. It's coming. I know a lot of people here are like, well, how do we, and why is it going to affect my job? Like, there's a lot of trepidation around it, and it's not the enemy you think it is a lot of times. So you use the tools.
I would piggyback off that. I think there was a quote from Sam Altman the other day about how 95% of marketing work done by creative agencies would be done by AI shortly, which is a crazy statement because I think it completely devalues the work that is actually the values that is actually coming from super creative humans. And it's reductive. It sounds like we're going to commoditize the entire industry. And the reality is these tools should allow us to do more and do better, but there's always going to be that value add. And I think the competitive advantage is knowing how to use these tools and how to use these tools to maintain whatever competitive advantage your company or your business had. And so I think that's what I would add is for any of the people who are afraid of or doubting these AI tools, there's so much excitement and so much value in them.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, we've been saying educate, evolve, and expand, and I think that has been a good way for us to look at what's really exciting and what might be a little bit scary, but it is a sea change. It's really exciting.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. This has been amazing. Thank you for spending time with us, and excited to see what happens next month.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. All right, thank you.